Episode 2 is not any more exciting. Fast forward to episode 3. Episode 3, we get sort of a hint after all the traveling and whatnot, their world tour, that things are not as exciting. And Ryan is having a difficult time. He's got an issue with the luggage. You can put your medication in your carry-on. First of all, Gypsy took, way too much time around in the parole office because she's a chatty Cathy. They had a flight to catch, okay, which they were almost going to miss. From the very beginning, Gypsy wanted to have the narrative that they were soulmates. They were getting along. Everything was hunky-dory, sunshine, rainbows, all the things were good, right? Episode 4 begins with a video from Gypsy's phone. She says she's had a nightmare. She says nightmares are a regular occurrence for her, and they're always about her mother. There's a cutaway to a talking head interview. Next, Gypsy and Ryan are at Rod and Christy's house. Rod and Gypsy are talking about how she's only been there once. That's when I noticed it. Her hair. The phone video and talking head interview are clearly from after this visit. I'm pointing this out simply because I've been talking about stuff being edited to make situations appear a certain way. This is an example of that. After visiting her grandmother Emma's grave, Gypsy, Ryan, Rod, Christy, and Mia all go to visit Bobby, Gypsy's cousin on her mother's side. Bobby owns a tattoo shop and has been featured in several documentaries about Gypsy's case. Bobby tells Gypsy about the time Christy came to get a tattoo and was telling him about Gypsy participating in the Special Olympics. Bobby says, I remember thinking, of course she's dominating the Special Olympics. She can walk. Then he says, I don't know why she hasn't stepped up and said anything about it. There's so many people that failed you. The shade of it all. It's tattoo time. Gypsy reveals that this is her first professional tattoo. She did a pick and poke in prison. It's the letter K for Ken. Ryan's listening and making a stank face. Gypsy gets her tattoo, so then Ryan decides to get a tattoo. So then they show Christy, and she's got like a boatload of pictures she's been saving for Gypsy, including pictures that Ken sent her. This is when it's revealed that Christy and Ken have maintained a friendship since he broke up with Gypsy. Just kidding, this isn't a shock to me. Back in January 2024, when Ryan and Gypsy were in New York City, they appeared on Nick Viall's podcast. Among the many topics discussed, Gypsy's ex Ken was brought up.
The day that I got out of prison, Ken texted my stepmom and was like, hey, what's up? And she told me about it, and I'm like, oh, so now he wants to come around. And so I told Ryan about it. I was open, and I'm like, he's sniffing around.
Remember this for later, because it's gonna be important. The fact that Christy has maintained a friendship with Ken is baffling to me. I thought that was inappropriate and weird, especially when Christy said, well, I didn't break up with them, my kids did. Rod and Christy give their thoughts on Ryan and Gypsy's marriage. Rod says he likes Ryan, but that he's going to have his hands full with Gypsy. Spoiler alert, not for long. Meanwhile, Christy has this to say about it.
Ryan is a great guy, but if her and Ken would still have been together and she got out of prison, I knew in my heart she was going to be safe. I wouldn't have worried. And I didn't know there was more to the story of why he ended it. He reached out and he said, I need to talk to you. He called me and he explained to me that people were telling him, if you love her enough, let her go. Let her find herself on her own. And he said, look, if he would have known she would have dated found somebody else and got engaged, he wouldn't have let her go.
Ryan is getting up and getting ready to go to work for the first time since Gypsy got released. As they're gathering up Ryan's things, Gypsy spills coffee on a magazine. Gypsy decides she's going to organize the closets in the refrigerator, which she does while wearing the most confusing outfit. Is it a dress? Is it a hoodie? Turns out it's both, and it has peekaboo biceps. I wasn't sure what to call these, but thanks to Melissa Jade, I do now. So basically, Gypsy just starts chunking stuff in 2 huge contractor bags while talking about Dee Dee being a hoarder and how Gypsy can't stand clutter. And that whole situation with that outfit confused me. I mean, I can't tell you, it was so distracting to me that I almost did not pay attention to what was going on in the kitchen. And she just starts chunking shit in there, right? However, some of the stuff that she chunked was actual, like you go to the store and you buy the plastic food containers. And then some of them she emptied the food actually into the trash can. But did y'all watch carefully and closely? What did she do with those trash bags? Not a damn thing. 8 hours later, when Ryan comes home from work, both of those trash bags are still sitting in the kitchen. She has not taken them out. Then you look over to the sink, and where are those Tupperware containers? In the sink, not rinsed, not soaking, nothing, just sitting there. Somebody who truly, truly has OCD. It's obsessive compulsion. You are obsessed with the compulsion to do something. She just left them. Nobody with OCD would have ever been able to leave the trash bags there or the Tupperware there. It was a sink full of filth. Ryan comes home and starts washing it. Okay, so now we finally get to the part of the show we all wanted to see. She FaceTimes with Christy. Ryan calls in and Gypsy hits the decline call. She says he'll be fine, but he's clearly not because he calls again. Gypsy declines the call again. So, Christy tells Gypsy Ken checked in and Gypsy says, "What?" Like she's all shocked. I don't believe the way that was edited, that scene where they're on FaceTime together, Christy and Gypsy. And Christy says, "I have to tell you something." I don't believe that scene is the first time that Christy told Gypsy that. And here's why. Because if you go back to the Nick Lyle interview, Gypsy was aware that Ken was messaging Christy. "You liar!" That would be the time where I would be asking questions. Why is he comfortable texting you? Right? I would go to Christy and I would have said, what's up? She already knew about that. I'm telling y'all, Ryan was always a means to an end. Always. Ryan is the new Nick. Ken is the new Dan.
So is that why he ended things with me?
Yeah, he regrets it.
Okay. This whole conversation is weird on many levels.
Like before I met Ryan.
Because, quite frankly, the fact of the matter is, why does Christy know this and Gypsy doesn't? Why does she choose this time to do it? Because I guarantee you there is more to this conversation that they had on FaceTime than Lifetime has aired. I honestly think that what was really going on is Gypsy was bitching to Christy about Ryan. I really do.
Things that he told me, there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't pray for you.
I just don't understand because it's like he found someone else.
Well, he's not with anyone right now.
Of course not. But knowing what you just told me, in a different world,
in a different world,
to Ryan,
2 months from now.
I know. You don't even need to say it, girl.
Like, I know that he is interested in blondes. I'm not blonde. I'm a brunette.
No shit.
So I'd go in the shower, take fingernail clippers, and just cut my hair off. Kind of do everything I can to get his attention again.
After hearing this, go back to part 1 of the documentary that I did. Listen to the part about Dan. If you go back even and listen to Prison Confessions, listen to the way that Gypsy talks about Dan. It is the exact same way that she talks about Ken.
Okay, somebody ever came over and did it. Maybe my ex-girlfriend came over.
Okay. I got something to tell you tonight. I'll get you back for that.
Oh, really? No,
See the games that this put to place?
Christy has continued conversation with Ken. He's been reaching out to her just to ask questions and things like that because Gypsy has blocked his number.
Gypsy has not.
Contact.
That's lies.
On with her life.
That's
and
also a lie.
Out of prison, he's like trying to weasel his way back in, and Christy has continued to allow that door, like she keeps cracking that door open.
That is because you are a whole ass chump, and this was always the plan. Boo boo the foo.
First, his reaction was like, "Well, if you want to go be with him, then go be with him." And I'm like, "We are married." I am like, "I love you. I am invested in our life together here."
For about 3 more weeks.